This is Wellington Street. This is St. Catherine East. This is Duluth. This is St. Laurent. And this is Montreal Avenue. These are 5 of the 10 Montreal streets chosen by the city to go car-free for the entire summer of 2022, and for at least 2 more summers after that. The city has been doing more limited pedestrianizations for a while now, but they really took off in the summer of 2020 to celebrate the United Nations International Year of Plant Health. Just kidding, it was COVID.
These pedestrian streets were hands down one of the best parts of living in Montreal, and they're one of the highlights we're drawn back to each time we visit. We were lucky enough to live just off Montreal Avenue, which this year is car-free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with the exception of delivery trucks in the morning, for a 3-month period from early June to early September. Some of the car-free streets prohibit riding bikes, but Montreal is just a slow zone, requiring cyclists to keep a reasonable speed.
Something really interesting that we noticed in the media and in daily conversation is that people defaulted to describing pedestrianizations as closing the street or blocking it off. Even when people liked the program, they still usually described the changes in restrictive terms. On one hand, okay, the city used barriers to stop cars from entering. On the other hand, as people who walked on Montreal Avenue nearly every single day, these car-free streets did not feel remotely closed. They felt the opposite of closed. What's the word?
Open?
Yeah, that's it. Open. It was actually in September when the cars came back that it really felt like the street was closing down.
What did we get in return for losing the ability to drive through or park on these streets? Quite a lot. Removing cars opened up space for so much more. Extended patios for cafes and restaurants, outdoor showrooms for stores, nature and art installations, bouncy castles and other attractions for kids, seating to just hang out, misting stations to cool down, and lots of other creative, interesting, and useful things. These streets just became more enjoyable to move through and be in. We found ourselves gravitating toward the pedestrian street for every trip we could use it for. Being able to carry our groceries home was wonderful. You don't have the constant hum and stink of traffic. Instead, you hear people laughing and enjoying themselves with their friends and family. You have much more freedom of movement, not being confined to sidewalks and not having to wait at as many intersections. You navigate the space and negotiate conflicts by actually seeing people's faces. How humanizing.
But don't take it from us. A report done for 2 borough governments surveyed people both on the street and online and found overwhelming support for these projects, with around 90% favorable to the existing streets, and 80% wanting to see more of them. In terms of personal behavior, a majority of people said that the pedestrianization made them come to the street more often, stay on the street for longer, modify their trips to intentionally use the street, and spend more money at the stores on the street. When asked in focus groups what people liked most, they really focused on the reduction in car noise and the increased opportunities for socialization, with both friends and strangers. They also felt that the streets just had a better look and atmosphere when they were full of people and art as opposed to cars.
The most common criticism of Montreal's pedestrian streets that you hear is accessibility. People bring up disabilities, mobility impairments, and families. There are some valid issues here. The study found that families with children and people with reduced mobility had concerns about cyclists not respecting pedestrian priority, as well as disruptions in bus and paratransit access. Interestingly, none of this really takes us in the direction of allowing cars back onto the street. To the extent that bikes can be dangerous to pedestrians, they have nothing on cars, which are faster and heavier and have more blind spots. When you compare the before and after on these streets, it's obvious which one offers kids more freedom and safety, and which one might make you feel comfortable enough to send your kid walking or biking on their own. In regard to mobility impairments, you only have to look at the people in wheelchairs and mobility scooters who now have the full length of the road instead of being packed onto a small sidewalk to see the benefits. The Plateau Borough also offers a free e-bike taxi service for seniors and others with reduced mobility. And the Montreal Avenue Metro Station is currently under construction to add elevators for accessibility.
Sometimes you hear that pedestrian streets are just unfair to anyone coming from further away, but these streets are clearly serving more people under this configuration. If everyone here was in a car, you'd have to stack them 3 or 4 levels high. There's clearly no lack of people able to get here. Being in dense urban neighborhoods, tens or even hundreds of thousands of people live within walking or rolling distance. They're also generally very easy to get to on the Montreal Metro, although admittedly the Metro has a long way to go on elevator access. On top of all of this though, you can still in fact drive to get here. You can't park right in front of your destination, but suburban shopping malls don't allow people to drive into the mall either. You have to park on the outside and walk in. To the extent that some people are having difficulty reaching these pedestrian streets from outlying areas, the solution is not to eliminate what makes them a destination. It's to increase transit access and build more pedestrian streets closer to more people.
We can debate exactly which streets should be pedestrianized and how long they should last. Some people think they should last into the fall and even winter, and others don't. But as far as we're concerned, there's no serious debate about whether the overall project is good. That's refreshing. In a lot of places, when you argue for less space and priority for cars, you're accused of being anti-car. When you have a successful project like this, though, it's hard to accuse supporters of being motivated by some arbitrary hatred of cars. It would be surprising if anyone using these streets denied that this place is just better without cars. Cars have their place, but it's not everywhere, and it's not here.
Thanks for watching through to the end of the video. Don't forget to pedestrianize your streets and subscribe. A special thanks to our supporters on Patreon.